Hey y'all, it is March the 10th, I believe, 2018, and y'all, I wanted to take y'all deep today into the Twilight Zone. I and I want to take this step by step. First, I want to start off in schools from what I've been hearing. All right, from things I've been hearing, and then we're going to move on to even more weird, wild things that I've been hearing. All right. As far as schools, I mean, most of us come to this channel, we understand, or we're starting to understand. It's mostly a sincere waste of time. All right. We understand it, but we also understand that, children and parents alike gonna get arrested if like you do the wrong thing. So I want to explain that there are certain subjects in school that you're just never gonna need in your life, probably, and most children already understand that. Like in particular, let's say calculus. All right, and in fact, that's a perfect example because calculus, chances are, more than likely, never gonna need it, never gonna use it in the world. All right, that's true. But at the same time, I want to point out calculus because, as far as myself, as far as many people on earth, I think we all consider calculus to be legitimate. It's a legitimate math subject. It really is. And I can't take that away from calculus. It really is for real. And people have been learning it for a long time. And I'll give it that. On the other hand, you're probably more than likely, definitely not going to need it or use it. And that's alright. Let's put that off to the side. Alright? Like I said, there's many subjects like it where you do legitimately learn. And I don't want to take that away from calculus or the other subjects like it. But last night, as an example, I learned of a subject and a whole class has got curricula. I heard of a subject that you might not have never heard about. All right, I wanna expose you to it right now. It's called, and I swear it's called human geography. All right, mind you, human geography. On the face, it sounds like, okay, that sounds like a legitimate subject, human geography. But if you're to think about it just a little bit more, you start to ask yourself, what the hell is human geography? What is that? All right, because you might go back into your database and think about it and think, well, geography, for the most part, if we're talking simple, that's like stuff on the earth. We're talking about mountains, we're talking about rivers, we're talking about oceans, things of this nature. Perhaps we're talking about countries and things of this nature, like places and things, geography. So you might ask yourself, well, what the hell is human geography? Because we know what biology is. Is that human geography? See, when I was told about human geography, I was like, what is that? Is it biology? What is that? What is that is what I asked myself. I was told by one of my young nieces about human geography, and I asked her, what is that? She couldn't explain. She looked at me like I was dumb, but then she could not explain not a damn word of it. All right. So I went ahead and I Googled it, and you can find it. You can Google it, and you'll find it. The best venture that I have to venture is that human geography basically, before you Google it, human geography basically is environmental science. That's what it is. Um, so it's environmental science, but the thing is, what I had to tell my young nieces, that already existed. I never took environmental science as a class. I guess maybe that might have been an elective that I don't remember, but I do remember it as a subject, as a class, and it does make sense. Environmental science, it's kind of has to do with the environment and how people interact with it, or perhaps animals, or whatever's on the earth, how it interacts. scientifically, environmental science. That I can wrap my head around. But we're talking about human geography. All right, so in attempts to not completely cripple my brain, I had to just assume human geography is environmental science. But also, you already know the state of education, so you can assume that human geography would be the science of how humans are messing up the earth, right? That's what you would assume. How humans are messing up the earth, right? That's what you would assume. And you would assume that in this sort of class, they don't talk to you about how humans benefit the earth. Probably not. They probably don't. All right, to be honest with you. It's probably green energy and Bernie Sanders and this and that and the other. That's probably what it is. That's probably what human geography is. Now, I tried to explain to my young niece. I understand she goes to school, so it was fairly difficult. I tried to explain to her that human geography literally is not a thing. All right, that's a new thing. Nobody ever heard of it. Nobody ever heard of it. So I tried to explain it to her that, but basically, God bless her. Basically, she rolled her eyes and she thought, well, God, this guy's so dumb because he doesn't know what human geography is, a thing that was just recently made up. All right. It'll blow your mind. Obviously, most people already know children are wasting their time completely in school, but it'll blow your mind to the extent of how much little children are wasting their time in school and learning basically more than likely that humans are bad. Now, mind you, and I'm going to gloss over it, but my youngest niece, when I was talking to her, she also mentioned how various random teachers in her school, as you would imagine, do talk politics in front of their children. And as you would imagine, that's actually not a good thing. That's actually discouraged, and it should be. It should be very well discouraged for a teacher to even ever mention politics in front of children, unless they're in a politics class, which they're not. But they'll still talk about it because you already understand. You know what it is. They wanted Hillary. See, the thing is, I already knew. Even before I asked her, I said, do they talk about Hillary? I asked her, do they love Hillary? So that's completely over the line. But of course they do it. Of course they do. All right, and I'll give you an example. My niece, she told me, and so I have no reason to believe that she's lying. She said one of her teachers said, Hillary Clinton would have won the election had she chosen a different vice president to run with her. And I asked my niece, I said, who's this person? Who's this person that they said? She forgot the name, but eventually I was able to remind her that it's Bernie Sanders. That's what the teacher said. So you can understand that the teacher is spewing out absolute gibberish. Absolutely. Because not in a million years would Hillary have won legitimately. She would have had to steal it. Absolutely in front of our faces. But also, she would have never had Bernie Sanders as her vice president. That's why she didn't do it. Obviously. That's why she picked some Vulcan or whatever his name was, Kane, who looks like a typical pedophile. That's what he looks like. So that's who she picked. And of course, she fell miserably. Right? If she wanted to be popular, she would have chose Bernie Sanders. And like I said, and I'll say it to everybody, had Bernie ran for president, he might have won. He probably would have won. And that would have been disastrous. But at least he's better than Hillary, because Hillary, nobody supported her. Nobody did. All sort of people were supporting Bernie. If the Democrats were determined to win, that's who they would have picked. But they weren't determined. They were not determined. They were determined to steal something, and it did not work. So anyway, so these teachers, they're talking about politics, even though they shouldn't be. That should be completely off limits, but they're doing that. And like I said, the school is filled up with all sort of knowledge you ain't never going to use. And the problem is that children don't know what knowledge they're going to use and not use. it is going to be about 10 years from now until my young niece, or maybe a little bit less, figures out absolutely a waste of time the school has been. Absolutely. All right. And hopefully someone will convince them to not take out all sort of loans and go to college. That would be disastrous. But, that's the road that they're going on right now. All right, I bring all that up I wanted to familiarize yourself with human geography, which is a brand new thing. And you would assume it's how humans ruin the earth. All right. Now I'm over here chilling at my mom's house. All right, just chilling, doing a little visiting, becoming aware of the different changes that have happened in the neighborhood. Still, certainly, it's a neighborhood where nobody really comes outside and you don't know your neighbors. All right, so just to give you a little rundown. And a lot of y'all might be familiar. I want to talk about this since we're talking about human geography. A lot of y'all might be familiar with different various trash cans. They got 3 of them here and they're color coded. One's kind of a blackish brown, one is a blue one, and one is a green one. All right, you might already assume the blackish brown one is for garbage. The blue one is for recyclables. The green one, if you can believe it or not, and you might already be familiar, is for organic waste. Mind you, organic waste, if humans were trying to better the environment around their neighborhood, they would use the organic waste in their gardens and things of this nature. They don't. They put them in trash cans. They put them in green trash cans and then send them to wherever else. I don't know. Maybe they send them to a place where they make mulch and fertilizer and things of this nature. Make money off of you. All right, you don't make the money, but the people collecting your organic waste, they make the money. All right, I promise you. So that's what happens. That's the color codes. All right. The other day, just to be helpful, I take the recyclable things from out of the bin inside of the house, the small bin inside of the house. Take the bag, tie up the bag, throw it in a recycle bin on the outside, that blue recycle bin, to be recycled. I'm trying to be good. That's wrong. I come to find out that's wrong. My mom shows me, and she actually takes all the recycles and dumps them out of the trash bag into the bin. And she told me, well, they'll fine you. They're going to fine you if you put a plastic bag in the recycle bin. And I've been told subsequently, if you put any sort of recycles into the trash can, you're going to be fined. Like, basically, don't fuck up. Don't you mess up a little bit. And mind you, doesn't matter that the things in the recycle bin are made out of plastic, a lot of them, and also so is the garbage bag. So is garbage bags basically made out of plastic. None of that matters. What matters is you don't put them in a bag in the recycle bin, because that's bad. It means you're a bad person. All right, and you'll get fined. You'll sincerely get fined. All right, and then come to find out this morning that not only that, how would they know? Necessarily because the trash people and the recycle people literally don't get out of the truck. They take a machine with a robot arm, lift it up, and then dump out everything out. All right. Mind you, the process of separating the cans and the this and that, the newspapers from the plastic, that probably doesn't happen. And if it does happen, it's wildly tedious. All right, but it probably doesn't. What does happen is if you put a plastic trash bag in the recycles, you get fined. That is what happens. You put recycles in the trash can. If you just say forget it and put everything in the trash can, you get fined. That is what happens. And I want to just point out to everybody that it's literally worse than Nazi Germany. A lot of people aren't connecting the dots. And a lot of people are going to give this video a thumbs down. But it's worse than Nazi Germany in that you couldn't convince the citizens of Germany back then, even the supporters of Nazism, you couldn't convince them to separate all their recycles. or you're gonna find him. You could not convince them of that. That's completely absurd on its face, but that is exactly what's happening right now here in America and certain homeowners associations that are filled up with people who are literally worse than Nazis. They're worse because they'll go to more trouble to not be a bad human being and ruin the earth by putting a trash bag in the recycle bin because it's ruining the earth. All right, says certain things like a subject called human geography. I'm balls deep up in the Twilight Zone, y'all. I don't think it can get much worse unless you're talking about genocide, to be honest with y'all. I don't think it can get much worse. All right, it's all loop-de-loop. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing or why they're doing it. Nobody does. Anyways, I'll holler at y'all. It's March the 10th, I believe, 2018, and holler at me about some other Twilight Zone stuff. Put it in the comments. What in the world? In what ways are we absolutely worse than Nazi Germany? I would like to hear about it. Holler at me. I'll holler at y'all.